Greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we're going to play around with a Dell R720 server and see what kind of mad things I'm going to do to it. So our task today is to get server 2022 put onto the Dell R720 server. That's a lot of words. Anyway, so today, as you know, we already got server 2022 installed on the IBM Model 3650 Model 3. But I'm not going to be keeping that server in my bevy of servers that I have in the rack here. Instead, I wanted to put server 2022 on something that might be a little more capable of running it. And so that's why I chose the Dell R720 server. It's a next generation higher than the R710 or the 3650 Model 3, and so would probably be a better candidate to run this software on. So that's what we're doing today. I could talk about it some more, but let's dive in right now. All right, so I've got Landsweeper running here, and I'm going to go down here to the Dell R720. This is the iDRAC controller, and I'm going to come over here to, this is why I like Landsweeper so much, because it's just, look how easy that is. Isn't that nice? Having all that stuff in one place. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and log in as root, and we need to enter our super secret password to log into the iDRAC. See if I can remember it. And because this is iDRAC 7, it uses HTML5, which means I can use a modern browser to get it to work. Now, one little thing. This computer has a bunch of hard drives in it, and I don't want Windows to get confused on the install. So I'm going to quickly run over there and remove those hard drives and just install it onto the SSD in here. It just makes my life a little bit easier. So I've removed the 8 hard drives, and let's go ahead and launch a window here, and then let's power this unit on. You can probably hear it spinning up in there. Oh, need to add our virtual media. So let's do connect virtual media. There it is, server eval. We'll open that one. Map the device. All right. So now I should be able to choose a boot item, and I'm probably going to get an error here on my SAS controller. It sees the Kingston hard drive. Yeah, good. 0 drives. Cool. Now hopefully it should just fly right by this. Alright, so server 2022 is installed. I've still got some updates to do, but I want to go out and look at my hard drive. So I'm going to right click on the start menu and go to disk management. Now this unit is the Dell R720, and it has 8 600 gig 600 gig SAS hard drives in here that were donated. And what I'm going to do, since I can't use Drive Bender on this unit, which is no big deal because actually for the virtual machines I use an iSCSI share on my FS 1018. But I do want to take advantage of the local storage on this server. So what I'm going to try and do is set up a shared drive using the following storage pools under Windows Server 2022. I basically wiped out everything that was on those disks, deleted any volumes, made sure they were online, and they're rebooted, and now it seems to be working. So let's see if we can't create a new storage pool by right-clicking on the primordial and following the little wizard. And I'm just going to call this SAS pool, just so I know those are SAS drives. And, you know, I'd strongly recommend you put a description in there so Why don't I take my own advice and do that now? Pool of 600 gigabyte SAS drives. There we go. Click on next. I'm going to select all the disks, leave them set at automatic, and this will give me a total capacity of 4.37 terabyte. Actually, it won't because I'm going to mirror these disks. So, click on next, and then it'll automatically set this up, and then we'll create it. And I'm just going to create one large shared virtual disk. So there it is. There's all the disks as part of it, and I'm going to create a new virtual disk. Our total storage capacity potentially is 4.36 terabyte. Tell it OK. Click on next, and I'm just going to call this my RAID 1 pool. I'll do RAID 1 pool. And we'll call this our RAID 1 test pool. Now, I could create multiple virtual disks, but I'm just going to use this one. And I could do multiple disks and use mirror on one set and use parity on another, if you follow me. So we're going to call this our RAID 1 test pool. Click on next. I'm not in an enclosure, so I don't need to worry about that. Click on next. And I'm just going to do a mirrored pool, okay? And it tells you data is striped across physical disk, creating 2 or 3 copies of your data. This increases reliability but reduces capacity. To protect against a single disk failure, use at least 2 disks, 3 if you are using a cluster. To protect against 2 disk failures, use at least 5 disks. I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to do a simple 2-way mirror. Click on next. I'm going to do a fixed volume size, and I'm just going to select the maximum size here. Click on next. Click on create. That'll go out and create the virtual disk, and then we'll need to create a volume. And it even has the little check mark next to create a volume when the wizard closes. So we'll go ahead and close it, and then we're going to create a volume. And there you see it sees our Dell, and it sees disk 9 as a RAID 1 pool. Windows storage spaces, we're going to give it the maximum size of 2.18 terabyte. Click on next. I'm going to give it drive letter P. Click on next, and it's going to be NTFS, and we'll call it RAID 1 pool, just for shits and giggles, if it allows to have that name. Yep, it does. Click on create, click on close, and there we go. So if we go now to the server, to the file explorer, we now see that we have a RAID 1 pool drive set. So I'm going to create a couple folders under there. I'm going to create one called ISO. I'm going to create another one called export. And I'm going to create another one called hyperV. All right. Now, the other thing I want to do is go back out to settings, go to updates, and finish installing. As you can see, I've got a ton of these out there. But let's just go to Task Manager for a minute and see what kind of compute power we have on this unit. So, as you can see, this is a E5 2620 dual processor unit, and I've got 32 gig of RAM, and I've got one Ethernet card active in there. Now, I also have a video card on here, but it is not showing. I'm going to go ahead and install these updates, and then what we'll do after that is we'll come back and see if we can't load the drivers for that NVIDIA video card I have in here, because I want to be able to utilize that as well. And hopefully the drivers that I used for Windows Server 2019 will work for Server 2022. If not, we'll worry about that later. So I'm going to go ahead and install all these updates, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when we're done. Now, one of the things I want to see if I can do is reconnect with my SCSI connection, iSCSI, to my Synology flash station. So I'm doing that with the iSCSI initiator, and basically this message is telling me it's not running, and it's required to be started. So it's asking me to start the service now and have the service start automatically. Click the yes button. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to go to Discovery tab, and we're going to enter our Discovery portal, which is 192.168.5.17, I believe, is where I have my Synology flash station. We'll click on OK. And we'll come back to targets, and you'll see that I have a target for the Dell 720. It's currently inactive. I have these other IQN connections for the Synology, but I'm going to use this one for the Dell 720. Click on Connect, and I'm going to add this connection to the list of favorite targets so that in the future it will connect up automatically, and then tell it OK. Now what we need to do is go into Disk Manager and make sure that we can see that drive. So we'll go into Disk Manager, and there's the disk, and we'll bring it online. And we should be able to see everything on there. It's set it up as drive letter D. I like setting it for drive letter I. So let's change it to drive letter I for iSCSI. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Now, if I had software installed on there, that would not be a good idea, but all right. So let's go and see drive letter I, and we should see all of our other Hyper-V stuff out there. And we do. There are no virtual machines out here right now. There's remote install images. Okay, good. All right, so these are the various scores I received under Crystal Diskmark. The stat on the far left is the SSD drive, and you can see it's quite speedy compared to the middle screen, which is the pooled set of drives. Although in sequential reads and writes, it did actually better than the SSD drive. But you notice where it counts, which is the 4K, it kind of is lackluster. But what's really surprising, if you look on the far right, that is my iSCSI connection to my Synology flash station, which has all SSD drives in it in a F1 array. And you can see my sequential reads, my 4K reads and writes, my sequential, normal sequential, not the Q32, and the 4K are in some cases faster than the local SSD. So I'm going to continue to use the iSCSI drive for my Hyper-V storage, and then we'll just use the pool drive on here for other things, for machines that really don't need a whole lot of speed and whatnot. So the next step I want to do is get Hyper-V configured here. Now how's that for a striking background? Yeah, I'm going to keep that for now. Alright, so I'm going to open Hyper-V Manager and make sure that I've got it configured. So let's go to Hyper-V settings, and we want to change this to our iSCSI drive. So we'll do drive letter I, and then we should be able to get rid of us all the way to where it says Hyper-V. Okay, and same way with virtual machines. We'll delete this, put the I in, and come all the way to Hyper-V, and we should be good. And let's apply that. All right, now let's go to Live Migrations, Advanced. It's not set to use Kerberos. Isn't that interesting? And I cannot change that for whatever reason. That's very interesting. I wonder why I couldn't touch. Okay, enable. Probably because I need to enable it. Then go to advanced and use Kerberos. Okay, cool. Oh, no migration networks. Okay. Use any available. Apply. So let's go to C. Use Kerberos. Okay, cool. So I've got that set now. So now let's look at our virtual switch manager. I don't know why they named this as. I'm going to rename this gigabit 1-1-vert. Just so I know what switch it is. It's just a general generic switch. Okay, so now the next thing to do is see if I can import or move a virtual machine over to here and see how that goes. So let's fire up that Dell R710 and see what happens. All right, so we're over on the Dell R710 that had all the upgrades done to it, including the flashed HBA adapter for my 2.5-inch spinning SAS hard drives I have in here. Thank you, Art of Server, for getting that card out to me so soon. So I'm going to go into hyperV Manager, and we're going to see if we can't transfer. We'll start with the domain controller, see if we can't transfer that back over to the Dell R720 that is now running Windows Server 2022 and Windows Hyper-V 2022. We'll see if we have any problems. So I'm just going to highlight it, click on the Move button, click on Next. We're going to move the virtual machine, and we called it Dell 720. So we'll type that in there, click on Next. That worked. So we'll move the virtual machine's data to a single location, click on Next. And we're going to browse to the iSCSI share on there and Hyper-V and select that folder. So that's where we're going to move this virtual machine to that storage and to that server. Click on Next. Now it looks like it says it's going to move. We'll see. Click on Finish. Well, it appears to have moved the virtual machine. So let's go over to the other machine and see if it's actually moved it over there. All right, well, it has moved it. As you can see, we're on the Dell R720. There is DC01, and down here in the notes it says domain controller 1 for homelab.local. It has not changed the configuration version. That's good. I don't even see yeah, there is one to upgrade the configuration. So we'll have to come back and look at that again. We're not going to upgrade any configuration right now because we want to be able to move these back and forth between different versions of Windows Server 20 or Windows Server. So right now I'm not going to convert them to a new configuration. But I am, however, going to connect with this, and we're just going to see if the virtual machine will start and boot up and if it'll work like it's supposed to. And whenever you move a virtual machine between Hyper-V, it's just been my experience, I'd noticed they boot up a little slower than normal the first time. So let's go ahead and log in. Now, I've only got 70 days left on this evaluation, but I'm waiting for it to expire so I can show you how we can fix that. But it looks like everything's coming up. So I'm wondering, while I've got this Hyper-V virtual machine down here updating my Windows domain controller, from my lab, I went ahead and downloaded the Quadro RTX desktop drivers for the P400 video card I have in this Dell server. And I'm going to see if it works. What's the worst thing that could happen, right? Yeah, that's why we're living on the edge. So if I'm going to keep Windows Server 2022 on here, I've got to make sure that I want to make sure I have access to the video card on here, and then a driver will load. That's a big test for me to see if an operating system is stable enough, especially Windows Server, before I continue on, using it on this Dell R720. Because remember, this is a thought experiment, right? And all we're going to do is install the driver for it. We're not going to install anything in addition, and that's assuming that this driver works with Windows Server 2022, because if it fails the system compatibility, we're going to have an issue. I might be able to manually install it. Oh, look, it looks like it's moving on. So agree and continue. And I'm going to do custom. And all I'm going to do is the graphics and HD audio driver. Click on next. Now, one way to know when the graphics driver is installed is you'll see it appear here under Task Manager as well. So we'll just let NVIDIA take its time. There it is. And now, as you can see, it's added the NVIDIA Quadro P400 driver to Windows. And hopefully, yeah, it's not requiring a reboot either. We're going to, once this virtual machine is done updating, but now I now have the NVIDIA Quadro video card in here. Alright, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, the server has rebooted and I don't see any problems at all. It's loaded the NVIDIA Quadro P400 driver without any runs, drips, or errors, and I think it's good to go. We can move forward with our plans to use this as a server. Alright, so our domain controller is up and running. Let's go ahead and get our Windows 11 machine up and running. So I'm going to connect to it here and go ahead and turn it on. Now I've already changed that setting to make it part of the VLAN 20. So it should get an IP address from this DHCP server, DC01, and then we should be able to join that domain once this virtual machine comes up. Well, I reset it. I didn't see it booting, so, you know. Don't know whether that's a problem with Server 2022 or the Windows 11 virtual machine. We'll see. Alright, it seems to be coming up now. Let's go ahead and see if we can't log in. And once we log in, we'll see what kind of IP address we're getting. Alright, so let's go to Network and Internet Settings. Let's see. Ethernet. I guess if we expand that, it'll tell us. There we go. So yeah, we're getting an IP address of 20.26. And 20.1 unencrypted DNS servers. That's fine. I like that it tells you it's an unencrypted connection, though. That's kind of cool. Go to Properties. And then we'll go here to Domain or Workgroup. Go to Change. And this is the Home Lab .local. And then we'll log on as Adama and our super secret password. Click on OK. Okay, welcome to the domain. Although that window, you notice it clicked underneath. So we'll go ahead and restart now. There we go, finally. Now let's use other user. Okay, so this is going to log onto that domain. We shall see. And there we go. It looks like it's setting up a new profile, so I guess that part worked. So on this server, we're living on the bleeding edge. We got Windows Server 2022 installed. We have Windows 11 in a VM. We have Windows Server 2019 set up as a domain controller as part of our Home Lab series, and this will be one of the lab machines. All right, there we go. Welcome to Windows. And yeah, they got the time right. The date is right. I don't have any drive letter mappings. So there you go. We got it installed, got it up and running, and then I did some tests on it. I don't know if this result that I'm getting through Crystal Disk Mark is skewed because I'm going through storage spaces. I just honestly don't know, but all I can do is share the test results I get, and then maybe we could figure them out together, figure out why I'm getting such lousy read-write speeds on on that storage space. It's only a RAID 1 array, so it should actually be as fast as writing to a standard SAS hard drive, at least, you would think, but maybe there's something I'm missing. But anyway, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, but it looks like Server 2022 is going to be A-OK on here. I've toyed with the idea of loading it onto the Dell R620 as well that I have. Yeah, I don't know, because I really want to run Drive Bender on that one because it has some larger hard drives in there, SAS drives that I'm doing some experimentation with, and I really don't need another Windows 2022 server, if you follow my drift. So I may wait to load that on the Dell R620 because I want to be able to continue on with the lab series of videos now. That was the whole goal of getting this thing upgraded. So there you go, folks. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative. As always, please give us a thumbs up down below if you liked the video, or a thumbs down if you didn't. Leave your comments down in the comments section. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click the notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. Donate if you're so inclined. We accept PayPal and Patreon. Thanks for coming to see us, and please don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.